The main card presents yet another episode of this great podcast over here. Well, I'm putting it over very much so by calling it great because, it is my show after all. So, but just wanted to put it over. I mean, you have to put it over. I mean, if I'm not gonna put it over, no one else is gonna put it over for me. So I just thought I'd just put it over for myself. But yes, this is the main card, and it's yet another episode. And here right now we're gonna be focusing on Hell in a Cell. Of course, we're gonna be focusing not on every single match because I don't think I'm at the level where I can make like a whole pay-per-view review that's gonna last for like 30 minutes because I know that I don't think you guys are gonna be wanting to listen to that. So what I am going to do is I am going to be checking 3 top matches in this entire pay-per-view. Well, 3 matches that I think stole the entire pay-per-view in my opinion, and I'm just going to be checking out those matches and doing a little bit of a summary of the whole pay-per-view at the very end. Alright, so this is the main card. Of course, you're still tuned in, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. So to start it all off on this episode, I'm going to be looking at the very first match of the night on the main card, that is. Not necessarily the main card of this show. I mean the main card of the night in WWE Hell in a Cell, which of course has concluded. It has gone past. We did watch it and we did enjoy it. The first match of the night was, of course, the New Day defending their WWE Smackdown Tag Team Championships against the Usos. Now, the New Day 4-time champs and the Usos also 4-time champs, and the Usos were looking for their 5th reign. And quite honestly, I can say so right now that the Usos and New Day match definitely was the match of the night because number one, that match took part in Hell in a Cell. So kind of like kicked off the whole pay-per-view right and kind of gave people a taste of what's to come throughout the night. And of course, the New Day and the Usos, they've been literally tearing up each and every single match that they've been involved in together. I think those guys, what you can say about them is that the chemistry that they have is immeasurable. And I think just from watching this from a fan perspective, they seem to be guys who have a point to prove, who always want to be the top guys on the show, who always want to be the top guys on the card, who always want to be the superstars that steal the show. And I remember when they were put in the kickoff show, and a lot of people were like, why would you put them in a kickoff show? But then, they took that as a challenge, and upon putting them on the kickoff show, they actually had a killer match, which is also show stealing. So for this night in Hell in a Cell, I would say hats off to the New Day and the Usos for delivering again. I mean, they delivered again. A classic match, and it was definitely a Hell in a Cell match to remember, and it lived up actually to the billing of Hell in a Cell because honestly for me, I would say that Hell in a Cell match was the most brutal, hard-hitting, physical, and just straight up cringeworthy to watch in some parts because of the fact that those guys, they literally laid into each other. You had candlesticks, you had chairs, you had the cage being used, you had New Day flying, you had the Usos flying, and at first I didn't think that Xavier Woods was going to be the one participating in the match. I thought it was going to be Kofi Kingston, but then when it was Xavier, it opened up the possibility of, I want to see what they can actually do with this. I liked a few comedic parts, of course, in the match itself, being the cowbell and the candlestick, which was very multicolored, and also using the trombones of Francesca to also do a bit of damage there to the Usos. But at the very end of the day, it was the Usos who took the match, and now they are 5-time champions. What's interesting to note about that is the fact that the Usos actually went on Talking Smack, and they actually pointed out the fact that people have been sleeping on the Usos for a while. They've been knowing that they are as good as they are because Rosenberg pointed out that, but they've been on a great run in the past 6 to 8 months, and pointed out that, but it's been like a really high for them. But then they also say they knew that they were that good. They never had any doubt. They've been doing that for about 5 years, so they knew. And this is something that I actually alluded to in the previous episode of the show, that people are sleeping on the Usos, and I think this rivalry that they had with the New Day literally catapults them now to a whole new level where I think it's going to be a while before any other tag team catches up to the Usos and is able to challenge them like the New Day did. That's not to say that I don't think the other tag teams have it in them, but now it's just a case of what's going to happen from SmackDown Live going forward now that the New Day and the Usos have put a sort of a they've like said, okay, this is it now. It's over between the New Day and the Usos because it was said that that's where the feud, that's where the rivalry is ending. So it's going to be interesting to see where to from here for the Usos, where to from here for the tag team division, where to from here for the tag team championships. But going back to the match, like I said, this was the match that literally stole the show. One cringeworthy moment for the people, cringeworthy, is when the Usos had tied up Xavier Woods, or handcuffed him to the post, and they just laid into him with those kendo sticks. That was very hard to watch, which means it was very well done from those guys, and was very well put together between the Usos and the New Day. So all I can say is that myself personally as a fan, it would be amazing if we would see like a behind the scenes WWE rivalry episode of this entire feud between the Usos and the New Day, from the time it started on SmackDown Live all the way up until it culminated here in Hell in a Cell. I would like to hear from those guys themselves talk about this in depth as to how they went about going about their business and putting all these great matches together, all the way from the very beginning up until now in Hell in a Cell. So Bleacher Report actually gave the Usos versus New Day match a 5-star rating, and I have to agree with that. Though I'm not really much for ratings, but I have to agree with that rating. That rating fits that match perfectly. It literally was the match, and it was the match that stole the entire pay-per-view. So the Usos and the New Day definitely put some respect on those guys. Put some respect on Xavier Woods, put some respect on Kofi Kingston, put some respect on Big E, who also had a great showing at the Hell in a Cell. Took a lot of punishment, gave a lot of big moves, showed us a bit of the old Big E that we know from the NXT when he was the NXT champion. Put some respect on Jimmy Uso, put some respect on Jey Uso. All in all, put some respect on all those 5 guys for carrying that tag team program for as long as they did, and they did not disappoint. For myself as a fan, match of the night, that Hell in a Cell match, and once again, hats off and congratulations to Jimmy and Jey, the Usos, for being the 5-time WWE Tag Team Champions.